Oh, I should be having my thing like this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. What's wrong? What are you laughing at, Shelly?
It like glitched. It was like 3, 2, and then it went to 11 and 8 on my computer. I'm like, what the hell just happened?
That happens when I do live at times. I'm like, wait, what happened to 4?
Because 5, 6, 7. No, that only works as other numbers. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dig a Little Deeper, the show in which we take some aspect of the Disney world and look at it here. And then we dig a little deeper. My name is Doobie Mosley. I am the co-founder of Laughing Place, the co-host of this show. This person to my left has those same 2 titles. This is my wife, Rebecca.
Hi, everybody.
Down there, from On the Go at MCO, the lovely, the talented. From On the Go in MCO.
I was shoot, that was a sign there for me.
We have Shelly.
Hey, everyone.
Shelly. And over there, the vice president in charge of Speedos and all things wet is Jeremiah.
Yay, Jeremiah.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
And today we are going to be discussing the Disney World water parks, which consist of 2, Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon, and a third, I did it better this time. River Country, which is now defunct. So that is what we're going to be doing here. We invite you all to be a part of this discussion. We are doing this live. We do it live because it's easier and requires less prep, and also because it allows us to interact with you. So if you have any thoughts on the Disney water parks, please join in the comments. We will do something like this. Love the picture in your background, Rebecca.
Thank you. It's my towel.
It's a great picture of you, Cousin Amy. And so anyway, let's get started with the Disney water parks. Let me check my shirt. Nothing helpful there. The first Disney water park. You never know what might be on there.
Okay,
no, I'm not wearing a shirt that's helpful.
What is going on? Can we? I know that. We just cut this part and start over.
We're live, Speedo Man. All right. So the first Disney water park was River Country, which opened on June 20th, 1976. Had its last day of operation November 2nd, 2001, although it was just temporarily closed. That temporarily became permanent finally in 2005. I never had the opportunity to visit River Country. Did either of you?
I didn't.
You did, Jeremiah?
Are you really surprised at this?
No, this is exciting because River Country is unlike any of the water parks today. It was so different, but you had the chance to visit. So why don't you talk some River Country for us, Jeremiah?
I had the chance to visit twice. Sadly, that was back in the time where we had to have film and that kind of stuff. So I don't have any pictures of a fun water park, but it was definitely one of those things that I look back upon and go, "Wow, that was kind of scary." Yes. Thank you, Amy. Yes. It was designed. Sorry, we're all pushing buttons. It was designed as just the old watering hole. If you go back and watch some of the, I think the most famous one is the Mouseketeers at Walt Disney World, where they go to Old River Country and they do the song. It was, and this was confirmed by the GM of water parks to me the other day. River Country was the first water park. It was before Wet and Wild because he talked to people at Wet and Wild and they said, "Oh yeah, we used to go down to River Country and study how you guys did it." The slides were, those were the basic slides. I mean, I don't know how many other pictures we have, but the slides were all those were fun. And then there were the small water slides that would go off the side into the water that every time I did it, I had a great fear that I was going to smack my head sliding off that thing. But So that picture right there is probably the best that you can get of it. Looking at the bottom part of the screen where there's the large body of water, that is actually Bay Lake. And then there was a bladder right in the middle, right on the other side of that bridge that separated the two water. So the water park was here and then the lake was there. You could actually swim out to that large bladder and reach in and touch Bay Lake, and the water could go out or in, but it was very limited. The thing I remember most about it is going into the main body of water and feeling the moss and stuff on your feet, because it was a real body of water kind of cut off.
That's gross.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, I was going to say, Jeremiah, you grew up in California, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, I can remember summers visiting my grandparents in Mississippi. We used to go to a nearby water park that was based on the river. And so, you know, it would be that what I refer to as like dark water, for lack, because I'm a Disney dweeb.
Is it connected?
And so this was more similar to that, where in essence that area of water was kind of used to for some of those slides. And then you could see in that picture Judy was just sharing, there was a clear water, a chlorinated pool zone with two very simplistic slides. Off the other side too.
It was fun because that, and you used to be able to buy a ticket, and this was Typhoon Lagoon was really the only one that was other one when I was first going. But you could buy a 2-park ticket to go to River Country and Discovery Island.
Okay.
And I had that somewhere. So it was all the Fort Wilderness campground area. And it was a fun little area, but going back and visiting it in later years when Disney had closed it and seeing that it had just kind of become like a giant mosquito breeding area was a bit creepy.
Have some pictures because, you know, for my generation, I'm about a decade younger than Jeremiah, and for like my son, River Country is known as an abandoned place that you can go explore.
No, that you shouldn't.
That you shouldn't go explore.
Not go.
Well, you can't go anymore. It's now a landfill for that hotel that may get built.
But that some people became infamous for having inappropriately explored.
For sure. And so like way back when, I think 2015, we did an article on we did an article 15 years after it closed. So these are pictures taken 15 years after it closed, not taken by us, taken by someone who shouldn't have been taking them. They were published by the Daily Mail. And it's just fascinating to look at an abandoned water park, to think this was here 15 years after it closed. So just run through theirs real quick. Actually, that didn't look that bad.
The interesting, I mean, if you think about it, this park opened the summer of '76. So that would have been just as we were really, you know, kind of getting ready for the bicentennial. And, you know, a lot of excitement over that, kind of an Americana. So to have this, you know, kind of Tom Sawyer-esque watering hole imagery, you know, the kids playing on the river, you can totally envision what, you know, kind of the marketing must have been at the time. Donna. So
this is the blue pool that from that big picture, right? With the slides up there, you can see where it would shoot off 15 years later. And
Donna seems to agree with the assessment that you both have, where the idea of Bay Lake water is not appealing. Slides are okay because they're low enough you can still see, but once you get into that pool, the end of that, you know, you can't see in it. I grew up on a lake, and so that idea isn't quite as uncomfortable to me as it is to a lot of my California peers.
Rebecca grew up swimming in a creek, if I'm not mistaken, right? A creek? Isn't that what you guys called it?
I visited a creek. I lived on a lake.
And I can remember that the water flowed and there was a strong current. Like if you were out there, if you'd come off they used to have the slide for death type thing where you'd slide down and you'd just fling into it and you would land, and you'd have to swim pretty strong to get back to the main area.
It was like the Disney-fied version of Action Park.
I was hoping got brought up at some point in the show, so it didn't take long.
By the way, one of my favorite memories of the Riverside water park we went to was we were all enjoying the it was like a lazy river tube. This is not the Disney one. I never got to go to River Country. This is one in Mississippi. And we're floating along in it. My little brother didn't want to go on this water. There was like at the end of it, you drop into this big waterfall, and he didn't want to go there. So we'd catch him there and get him off the ride. So he would like go 3/4 of the way through the ride. We'd catch his tube before he went over the big waterfall and take him out there. Well, about 20 minutes into our trip, I think it was about that much. Tweet, 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 lifeguard whistles go off. They had to clear it out because there was a water moccasin nest they discovered down there. So they had to close the slide for a while.
In the words of Edward
a little
Murphy,
different.
too bad we cannot stay.
just a few water moccasins, nothing to see here.
Get ourselves out of there.
Yeah.
So wait,
Right,
I do have one picture. This is. Hang on, let me grab this.
We're getting ready to
This
move
is-
over to start talking about Typhoon Lagoon, my favorite, right?
Yes, that would be
Okay, cool.
next.
Well, this is the current view of what was River Country.
Great.
Come on.
I know none of us are having fast computers today.
Yeah. So that was the River Country area. You're looking, this is pretty much from the walkway from like where the hoop you do and everything is. Behind that was where River Country, and that's where the hotel may go in the future.
Which hotel would that be?
The Nature Hotel.
Reflections.
Reflections.
Reflections. Who is that hotel I see?
I wonder if all the videos down there are making it be too slow.
Yeah, maybe. All right. So next up would be Typhoon Lagoon, which opened on June 1st, 1989. Jeremiah, were you there for the grand opening covering it for our website?
No.
Neither was I.
I hadn't even been to Walt Disney World as a real person yet.
I don't know what that means. All right. So Typhoon Lagoon opened in 1989. It was a much, much different type of water park than River Country. River Country, as Jeremiah discussed, was just kind of like putting some slides on Bay Lake, whereas here they actually created freshwater, completely fresh, blue, chlorinated, giant, beautiful pools and slides and such. Gave it a really cool theme. How would you describe the theme, Shelley?
I would describe it as the remnants of a typhoon that has blown through and some attractions that were created by the aftermath.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
And this is that.
I love that beach towel like so much.
That was my favorite line, Typhoon Lagoon merchandise line when we lived in Florida. That was my favorite one that came by.
I like it because it shows Mickey's black feet.
Yeah, his little feet. Yeah, you don't get to
His
see his
little
feet very often.
So this is the as you walk into Typhoon Lagoon, so lushly themed. Yeah, you walk around a little bit and then you come out this one area and it's finally kind of revealed to you with the weenie way off in the distance. What's her name? Is Tilly.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful,
Typhoon Tilly.
the amazing wave pool that they have right there, which I'm sure we will talk about. And then on this day, I was lucky enough to have this beautiful woman standing there right in the walkway, also known as my wife.
Yeah, me in the stroller. when we first moved to Florida, we pretty much this was our morning. This was our Sunday morning. We'd get up, we'd go to Typhoon Lagoon, we'd get there when it would open, we'd stay there until maybe, around 11:30, noon or so. We'd be there a couple of hours, and then we would head home for a late lunch and refresh, and then head back to the parks for the night. And that's what we would do.
Yep. That's our Sundays too.
Yeah, I can't.
It is
by the way, I can't wait for it to be that again.
So the highlight, of course, the centerpiece is this wave pool, which is just humongous, loud, as Tony says. What was that?
Oh,
The wave pool's not
screen.
showing.
Yeah.
Moron.
Yeah.
Talking to myself there.
Yeah. No.
Is this wave pool,
Yeah, there you go.
which and it alternates between these huge waves and then the bobbin waves, which are a lot of ways are more fun, but not huge. More what you're used to in a water park. But when they decide to go for the big wave, it is just and a lot of fun. And the part of the fun is hearing it. You hear this whoosh, and then you look, and then there it comes. And anyway.
Now, one of the things that's really interesting to me, and I've never seen it myself, like demonstrated, but based upon videos I've seen of the inner workings of this thing, reportedly, they can control which way the wave breaks, if it breaks left to right or right to left, and with their computerized system. And so, like I say, I've never seen that demonstrated, but other than in the behind the scenes videos, or they did this Walt Disney Imagineering series, The Science of Imagineering, and they talk about the computerization of the tank release on that video.
Oh, wow.
But also, Mike brings up this repurposing the wave machine from the contemporary resort area. And while I don't believe that to be the case, I do know that a lot of people connect the reality of Typhoon Lagoon's wave pool with this enormous surfable wave, kind of stemming out of the brainchild of Dick Nunes, who wanted Bay Lake to have a wave, right? It is Dick Nunes. I am attributing the correct person, right? With that. And if you want, go ahead, Tony. Sorry, you're not Tony, you're Jeremiah.
It was actually Seven Seas Lagoon.
Thank you.
And it was a wave machine that pretty much rotted on the island, that faced kind of almost where the wedding pavilion is.
Yeah.
And when they started it up for that short amount of time, it, pretty much destroyed that entire area, and they had to rebuild, put sand in, because it just started dragging everything back into the water.
It eroded the beach is the story. The story is that this wave machine eroded the beautiful beaches of the Polynesian area, and so it was abandoned as a concept. But like I say, then flash forward all these years later, you have Typhoon Lagoon, and now you can have this Imagineered wave, which it's still one of my very favorite theme. I will argue with anybody that this is Disney's greatest theme park.
Well, I know you wanted to talk about Typhoon Lagoon a little bit.
If as a Disney fan, if people ever ask me, if you can snap your fingers and be in one Disney location, where would it be? And I will tell you that without a hesitation, every time my answer is Castaway Creek. There is no place I enjoy more than that area. And by the way, I say that name, and then I remember that there's like this Ketchikiddee Creek, Castaway, and I always see stays around. But the lazy river, the amazing lazy river that you can enjoy as you travel around Typhoon Lagoon, because it not only is this theme park so you lose yourself in the views of Typhoon Lagoon, but they've created this waterway that is also your form of transportation. You get into the park and you step into this tube, and you can journey delightfully to other points in the park, and then enjoy that area of the park, and then get back in a tube and ride along to some other part of the park and enjoy. I mean, it's so brilliant. It's one of the things I love about Disneyland, in that they have this railroad that you can enter at Main Street, jump on the train, and you're over at Toontown, the opposite end of the park, so easily. And they've not really done that again with any of their other parks. Even Magic Kingdom doesn't use the railroad as efficiently and beautifully as Disneyland does. Animal Kingdom completely abandoned the idea of exploration or whatever, and Epcot divided you by an enormous waterway that you can't really easily get through either. But so like I say, I've always thought that Typhoon Lagoon has taken some of the greatest elements of the theme park experience to it. I'm so jealous.
I love this is kind of a funny comment by Tony.
But he's right.
Yeah. It'll be the most beautiful water park in the world, and it'll be surrounded by a lazy river.
Exactly.
A twist on a
Yes.
famous Walt quote
Yes,
about
Walt-
Disneyland.
Walt design. I mean, this park is, like I say, it's. I still would. I think it's beautiful.
And then not only do they have the lazy river that you love so much, but then they decided to go one better and introduce Disney's first water roller coaster, which is probably not the right term for it, but water coaster with Crush and Gusher. I've never had the chance to go on Crush and Gusher. Have you been on Crush and Gusher?
Shelley,
talk about Crush and Gusher.
I have. So Crush and Gusher is, I love, and it was my first time doing a water roller coaster, obviously. They have, I think it's what, 4 slides? Is it 4 or 2?
I think 4.
3.
Yeah.
4 slides, and you get shot up and down, like it's essentially, like it says, a water roller coaster, and it's themed around produce packing. It's 3. Isn't it? I think it's a produce packing plant.
Mm-hmm.
And so you and a friend hop on a 2-seated little tube there, and you are just like jostled all around. You don't know if you're gonna laugh or you're screaming, but it's like, it's such a fun, it's a unique feeling too. Like when you're just like, you're in a tube and you start going up, you're like, wait a second, I should always be going down.
Yep. Banana Blaster, Pineapple Plunger, and Coconut Crusher, I think. Yeah, Coconut Crusher. That's
and
the
here
other one.
You can see the 3 routes here, and they kind of intertwine a little bit, and then they all let out down at the bottom. One of them you can actually ride by yourself, if I recall, and the other 2 require at least 2 people, which is really nice for them to make that design. And then, like we said, it's a coaster, so there's points where you go up, and you get propelled by the water up, and it's I hear it's quite a different experience than a normal water slide.
And for those with accessibility needs, this also, it has a elevator access.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not terribly common I'm sure now it is, but previously water parks were places where you had to be able to traverse stairs. And so it was very, very, very nice to have this coaster come around and be able to accommodate that need.
And then another.
Sorry. I was gonna say, plus I really like this coaster too, because it's got such a large, like, empty pool into a little wading pool. So as Zoe got older and her friends would go with her, they would go do the slides, and my friend and I would go into the waiting area to wait for them to come out. And I just like, they were kind of all still doing the same thing, even though we're not. And I don't know. I just always felt that was a really neat part of it.
And that was actually a deliberate choice by the Imagineers when they made this water slide. We were there for the grand opening, and I spoke to some of the design team about that aspect, because it is a unique design in regards to kind of a thrill. Usually the dump zone of a thrill, water slide like this, it's, get off, get out, exit. Whereas this one, you do have that, but adjacent to that is this water play zone that you're able to, as you were saying, have the rest of your party enjoying the same body of water, but yet very safely.
Yeah, that was fun, because Rebecca could ride Crush and Gusher for a long time. And so Gideon and I we could sit over there. They had sand that he could play in, or we could just kind of wade in the water. No waves to worry about. So, which is also another nice bonus. If you like just hanging out in the water, but you don't want any of the waves, you can go over to the Crush and Gusher area.
Because it's a zero entry.
Zero entry, no waves, just hang out there in a much more calm environment. So that was a wonderful, wonderful addition to Typhoon Lagoon back in the year that they added it. 2015. No, I just looked this up yesterday. 2015. 2015.
Oh, really? That's funny, because over here it says 2016.
It may have been 2016.
But can we talk about the best
2005. Not 2015.
Yeah,
2005. 2005. Go ahead.
Can we talk about the best part of the park that is sadly no longer there?
Hey, that's what we have a picture on our screen.
I'm guessing this is what you mean.
There it is, the Shark Reef. Yeah.
This is Shark Reef.
Before we begin, I just want one word answer from each of you. When you think of the Shark Reef at Typhoon Lagoon, what's the one word that comes to mind?
Cold.
Cold.
Yes. Right.
But I think the correct answer is shockingly cold.
Cold.
Yeah.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know and who aren't, for example, where we live now in Northern California, the water parks are not heated. The water is colder when the temperatures are colder out and warmer when the temperatures are warmer out. Typhoon Lagoon and other Florida water parks, the water is like a bit more heated, and it does have a consistent temperature. Even if the air temperature goes on the colder side, you don't have quite the same impact because of the what they do with the water there. However, this area, because you're with live critters, yeah, it was cold. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
Yeah, I see why sharks are so angry now, because the water is cold.
They're always cold.
So I can remember the first time I went to Typhoon Lagoon, and yeah, everything. I love all the attractions, but Shark Reef was, you actually snorkeled across and you got to see sharks. And yes, the first time I walked out and I put my feet in the little water and I went, oh, this is cold. And then they go, okay, now everybody jump in, because they used to do like the 5-minute tutorials for people in one side and then you swim across the other. And it was shockingly cold, yes. And I can remember getting halfway across and people being like either one so cold that they needed to stop on the rocks and climb on top and listen to the lifeguards yell, or two, start freaking out because they're snorkeling and they don't know how to snorkel, which is fine, but they were trying their best and they would stop. And again, just like with earlier where the Barracuda was found, they would stop and have to clear me out, and the lifeguard would have to come and help one person across, a 10-foot pole from where they stopped.
Right.
And the people that are working in the pool all day, they're wearing wetsuits. That should have been our first clue that we're not dressed appropriately for this. When you're wearing a wetsuit in Florida summer, that water is cold. But it was really cool. And also one of the nice features of this place was if you didn't want to get in the water because you had two brain cells to rub together, you could go underneath and you could see the sharks through these portholes in the submarine.
They had a nice little like a walkway that you could
the upside down ship.
Yeah, see that red building right now there? There was a walkway down into there and you could look through portals. It reminded me of being on the submarine voyage, because you were just a little bit below the water level. And so you'd look out and see the people swimming. But yeah, we all did that, my family, one time. Just before it shut down, as it turned out. Yeah.
So yeah, 362,000 gallons in the dual tank, because they actually had it separate, from the training and then from the float across, I think.
It used to be two that they would for capacity, and then they just kept it on one, and they would do the sit down training class, and then they just gave up on that. It was just that one for years.
And it closed October 2016. Unfortunately, I believe those sharks ended up at Coral Reef at Epcot, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the restaurant.
Well, yeah.
I don't remember any shark fin soup or anything there around that time. Yes, I'm sure they moved everybody to the Seas with Nemo and Friends. But
okay, that could be.
One of the things about that, can you bring up that picture one more time, Doobie?
Which one? Oh, the one that's sitting.
Yeah. So if you go today, where you used to get the snorkels and the floaties, that is now a bar, and they took that entire water area and just filled it with sand. Like, didn't do anything with it at all. They just, at some point they'll go in there and excavate it, and they'll find ET cartridges and just rock work.
But they did. Did they not toy around for a little bit with the kind of an adult only zone over there for a bit?
Yeah, it was still, like, last time I was there, I think it was probably 2 years ago now. It was the bar, and then that area where they had the chairs was more the adult only. But it really is just sand around that ship, and you can't go into the ship anymore because you'd just be looking out at sand in the portals.
One of the things that Typhoon Lagoon has that I didn't get to try and is on my, when I moved back to Central Florida bucket list, is surfing lessons. They offer those before the park open. It's been on my bucket list since I discovered that they have them, and I always dreamt of growing up to be Gidget. And yeah, hey, everybody has their dream. When I was little, I wanted to grow up to be Gidget. What can I say? So Jeremiah made me extremely jealous because Laughing Place was kindly invited by Disney to come give it a try, and he got to fill the bill because I was in exile in Northern California.
Did you do it too, Shelley?
I politely declined.
So
Tell us
I don't
about it.
see anybody having footage of me busting my buns like continuously. And then I heard about it. I'm really glad I didn't do it.
yeah, just like you, Rebecca, I always want to do that. Like, my mom grew up surfing in California. I never got the chance because I hate the beach, but I always wanted to try it there. And we have an article and videos of me wiping out over and over again.
Which I'm desperately trying to show, but my computer's not cooperating.
Oh, darn. And then for like 2 weeks following, I couldn't breathe well because my ribs were so bruised. Surfing is not an easy thing by any means, and not being able to surf but trying over and over again is kind of like, the first staple in your hand didn't hurt that much, so you just keep trying until it hurts enough.
I just remember everybody who went to the media event was like walking like kind of hunched over for at least 2 weeks because everybody was just so sore.
It's that rough, and yet people pay for this every day or all the time, right?
Well, it's only that rough for people that can't do it.
I turn 50 next year, and this is like one of those things I want to do because I'm turning 50 kind of things. I've been seriously considering, like, there's a guy here that I've been doing like physical therapy with and stuff and I've been seriously considering going to him and say, I have a goal that in July of next year, I want to surf, make me, work with me. I want to do this. And I haven't yet pulled the trigger on it, but dude, talking about it today is making me think about it yet again.
What's nice is you have an
we should have like a surfing party.
I really, I can't even, I don't know. It's just one of those things where there's this little bit of fear that keeps me from doing it, but maybe
do it.
But maybe I will. Cause like I say, it's been that, it's one of those things where I've always wanted to be Gidget. I even bought, my first car was a VW convertible because when they brought back Gidget again in like the 80, 90, she drove a VW convertible, a white VW convertible. So I bought one. So yeah,
I learned something very important from one of my relatives, one of my ancestors. Fear is just your brain telling your heart to be smart.
Okay, so I couldn't do it.
No, that's not what. Is that how you interpret? Have I been misinterpreting that all this time? Sorry, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
Oh, and Jeremiah got to do some other fun, super cool stuff that combined my favorite things in the universe. Those who know me know that I love anything glowing, electrical parade, just about every Disney glow thing ever known to man is in my house, whether it be ice cubes, ears, lanterns, you name it, it glows. It's in Rebecca's house. And they had an H2O glow night party that they were doing at Typhoon Lagoon. I bet you went too, Shelley, right?
Yeah, I went several times. Like we went a couple times for the media event, but then I went a couple extra times. It is seriously one of my favorite after hours events that Disney has ever had. It is so much fun.
So it starts with sunset, and then what happens here, Jeremiah?
Typhoon Lagoon was designed for night events. Like they have lights in there, and for years they've been doing different cast events at night. And then this one, finally, they decided, hey, let's do a hard ticket event. This is some of the food options they had. It's pretty much everything's open, and then they themed it around Toy Story because Rex, as Partysaurus Rex, is out on the beach, and they have a DJ playing, and you can hear the music all throughout the park. And they had photo ops with Woody and Jesse, and then they had the Pixar ball. So it was a nice tie into everything, but the park was just so much fun, and exploring the park at night was beautiful.
Especially that little cut through in the mountain that goes between the slides and the lazy river, that little cut through right there, and that walk around the back. Oh, it was so much fun.
That's my one tip about Typhoon Lagoon, which I've only done. I remember discovering this. I did not know how fun it was to walk around that entire park, especially that cut through you're talking about, and being behind behind the wave pool and hearing that machinery is incredible. Yeah, but the views from there, I mean, it's as you say, it's an amazingly themed park. Get some swim shoes because no one wants to walk barefoot around the park, but walk around that park when you get a chance and you will not regret it, I promise.
It's really fun.
But wow, this lazy river at night.
So jealous. And, I mean, and the thing that's really different for those of us in California, we see a picture like this and we envision cool air because in California, you're in a desert, right? And so when the sun goes down, the temps go down. Not in Florida. In Florida, you wake up in the morning and the temperature pretty much stays the same throughout the day, except for the sun will make it hotter during the, you make you feel hotter during the day when you're in the sun. But overall, that air temp is can be pretty consistent. So you don't have the 30-degree weather, the 30-degree temp change. So, you're looking at people right now that it may have been 70 plus and they're out at night.
Oh, yeah. I can remember sweating at those, like walking around and walking up to Mount Mayday up to the top. It would get a little much.
Little damp. Like
that was a total learning experience having grown up in Southern California. I mean, I remembered some of that from my youth when I lived down south, but I'd been in California for so many years. And like Mike points out, Florida has humidity. By the way, Mike's also pointing out in the chat that with the announced possibility of theme parks opening, that there's some rumors and reports out there on cast members. So we're very excited about the increased opportunities for employment and paychecks and all that kind of good stuff.
We will be talking more about that later on at LP in depth.
Yep.
I feel like that requires more in-depth discussion.
Yeah, that's going to be the topic. That's going to be the topic tonight. Jeremiah and Ben are going to be discussing the increase in excitement at the theme park.
That's at 7/10 tonight on all your Laughing Place channels. So one other personal, very, very personal note about Typhoon Lagoon. In 2013, we made the move from Florida to California. And so right here was my right here was my final press event in Florida before the move. I went to a little beach. They had it.
So much fun.
Teen beach movie. Interviewed this guy who not attractive. It was hard to stand next to him. And
he recorded the sweetest message for Zoe, and she keeps it on her phone. Like she still has it on her phone.
That's awesome.
That is the best. See, this is part of the theming. Look, see the tower, it's leaning because the winds came through and everything's just still slightly askew from the typhoon. Yes, Amy, he does look a lot like
Zac Efron. He is not Zac Efron.
I don't think that was in error.
I don't remember his name, but he was not Zac Efron.
That was the Disney Channel type for a little while.
But this lady, who I say lady, even though she played a girl, but she was much older than she played, was like the nicest person in the world. That's real. I remember two things about this event. She was so insanely nice, and that is the only media event where I really thought I was going to pass out. It was so hot out there.
So hot out there.
I almost jumped in the water.
So, all right. Anything else about Typhoon Lagoon before we move on to the pinnacle of Disney-themed water play areas?
The newest attraction in any of the water parks, Misadventure Falls.
Go for it.
Shelley?
So Misadventure Falls is, like Jeremiah was saying, it's the newest attraction there at any of the water parks in Florida here at Walt Disney World. And it is it's a family style raft ride. The raft comes to you, you hop in, and you go up this large conveyor belt. But what I know that Jeremiah is really excited about is that it has a tie-in to a certain group, doesn't it, Jeremiah?
It does. I may see something when I go there.
But it's a really fun. The queue for it kind of winds, and it tells you about the attraction. It tells you a little bit about the C group and like and their adventures. And then you get on your raft, you go up and you slosh around and you do all the things you would normally do. But my favorite part is it has an animatronic also on your way up. So, I mean, I think it's one of my favorite family raft rides because it's not too much, but it's not too little. And also there's no carrying a raft required. So those are my favorite water rides.
No, it's a design in that way.
It's a really long ride and really fun. I was trying to look up pictures. It ties in the whole story ties in with the C group. One of my favorite.
Have some pictures in.
Oh, let me see.
I'm trying to get Jibby to pull up the pictures because we have them in the 31st anniversary piece that Tony wrote for Laughing Place. Because the sea, you're going to be hearing more about it, the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, because as we know, it's going to be an aspect of this developing Magic Kingdom series that was announced not too long ago. But not only is there a diving bell that is kind of a nod to the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, but along the bottom of that diving bell, see it says Captain Mary Oceaneer, right? I think, and Collector and Procure. I think it's Procure.
I think you're right.
Of nautical treasures, and she's also, you can find her as featured on the Disney Cruise Line, as I recall. But along the bottom there, you see those characters. That's Atlantean, and you can go and you can decipher what that message is if you know your Atlantean alphabet. I know what it says.
When this first opened, it was, I want to say, like, for the opening day, because I don't think they did a media event or anything, but I remember going there and everybody's like just taking pictures and wandering by, and I just full on came to a dead stop and sat there and started translating my Atlantean into it. And it was one of the nerdiest things I think that I've ever discovered. And then watching everybody else, because when something opens, all of us media nerds or Disney media nerds show up, and seriously, and watching them look at me and going, "What's he doing?" And then I start translating, and they're like, "Oh wait, that's something, isn't it?" I'm like, "It's Atlantean. Get out of here if you don't know what you're talking about." Yes,
Jeremiah,
that is exactly what it says.
That's what it says?
No, it does not.
Oh.
It does not.
Mark, don't make me sound stupid.
It does not. But I love Ovaltine, but that's not what it says. So very cool. I mean, it's a fun attraction. Shelley points out, one of the neat things about it is you're not having to lug a tube around, which is one of the downsides of Crush and Gusher.
So you not only don't have to lug it around, but you get to ride up in it?
Yep.
That's like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
No, and when you're going up, you pass by the parrot, which I can't remember the name of them off the top of my head.
I don't remember the name off the top of my head either.
But the parrot, for those of you who may have fond memories, or probably nobody has fond memories, but anybody who has memories of the Enchanted Teacher Room under new management may recognize the shape of that parrot as a certain Gilbert Godfrey sounding parrot.
It's a similar body shape and everything to Iago.
Yeah.
How time flies. Get a life, you guys. Your ancient history.
So the Misadventure Falls. It also has an area that reminds me of being on the cruise line, because it's a dark tube with like lots of flashy lights in it. So it's kind of like how you end your
aqueduct.
Thank you. Yep. How you end your aqueduct. So it kind of reminds me of that. So it's like once again showing why Typhoon Lagoon is Disney's greatest theme park.
Wait a second. Did you say Typhoon Lagoon is Disney's greatest theme park?
For me.
Wow.
For me, I kid you not. It is my favorite of Disney's theme parks.
Yeah, I don't think
it was the fourth park.
I feel a need. I'm going to try this. I think it's going to work just fine doing it this way. But one of my favorite Typhoon Lagoon memories. So of course, all these water parks, all two of them, have kids areas, and we used to love to go to the water park with Gideon. Their kids area, Typhoon Lagoon, is so much fun.
Catch a Kitty Creek.
So
You don't need the audio, but
And the little one can go all by themselves. I mean, and he was first riding this thing when he was much younger than this. We used to walk with him down into this little load area, kind of set him on the tube, but then he got to be that independent age.
Yeah, he's trying to get going. He'll figure it out
once he gets going. It's really,
you can do it, Giddy. There you go.
And the nice thing about the way this ride is set up is like a little horseshoe, and so as the parent, you can actually be alongside of them the entire journey on this tube. So it's a really fantastic way to give your kid the excitement of a water ride. And this video is slow because of the computer speed, but it's going a little bit faster than this, about the side of a typical.
Whoa, that really fast.
Yeah, no, it's looping back and playing it again. So, but there you go. And like I say, you can be walking pretty much all along the side of it, and then that other side where we couldn't be, there was a lifeguard over on that side, and so wonderful way to introduce littles to it. And it has a height maximum, and that's one of the things you encounter at the water parks that you don't have in other theme park environments, is you cannot ride it unless you're shorter than this. You have to be in between these 2 points on the board. So
I can ride it. I can't ride it anymore.
Yeah. We were having that conversation today because he was concerned.
He still wants to ride it?
No, we were talking about the other zone, because Ketchikiddee Creek is geared to the 48 inches and under crowd. That's really what Ketchikiddee Creek is geared towards. That water slide is for 40. I think that is 48 inches and under. But I know that overall that's how it is. However, Blizzard Beach, they have 2 kid zones. They have a tiny kid zone, and then they have a medium kid zone. And I'm sure we'll talk about that more once we get to talking about Blizzard Beach, which is probably coming up here soon.
Yeah, it is. So let's talk about the third and final so far Disney water park. Blizzard Beach opened on April 1st, 1995, which means it's about to celebrate an anniversary. Well, how would you describe the theme for Blizzard Beach, Shelley? You're a theme lady today.
A theme lady. So lore has it that in 1977, a blizzard came through Florida, and, capitalizing on what was going on, they built all sorts of, what are they called? Ski routes and stuff, so that people could take advantage of the snow. Well, Florida being Florida, snow melted, the routes are still there, and now they use them as a water park.
And what's
Jeremiah
name? Does he have a name?
Ice Gator.
Ice Gator.
That was the story. What Shelley said is the current origin of the story. And we have a video up of me interviewing the GM of water parks, and he tells that. But the original Imagineering story that you can find in some of the old books is when they started melting, they saw Ice Gator going down the slopes, and then they decided to turn it into a water park.
Oh, that's cute.
Really?
Which is why, Ice Gator is still around, but sadly, this is the only. There's a couple of representations of him, but that's the main one.
I know you're into Nerd Alert and all that. Do you know which of those stories is more accurate?
Well, they're both the same. They just cut out the Ice Gator because they no longer have Ice Gator as the mascot. They started to move into Olaf being the mascot a few years ago. And today when I was there, they were playing the Olaf music, the Frozen music. But Ice Gator is still very prominent. That statue, I believe this picture was taken 2 days ago. So the ski jump, the main ski jump, the Summit Plummet, that is the story. The Ice Gator was coming down, and he kept going so far that he crashed into the shop, and that's why you see the hole in the wall that is shaped like the Ice Gator.
We have that picture. So the reason we're doing water parks today is why, Jeremiah?
Because as of today, the 6th Disney water park reopened. Well, I guess it's only the 5th to reopen, but it's the 6th Disney theme park. Blizzard Beach reopened today for select hours, and social distancing is in effect. pretty much everybody that has concerns about what the world is right now, Disney addresses all those before you even walk in. As soon as I was walking up to the temperature tent, a cast member stopped, told me, you have to wear your mask at all times, except when you're in the water, you can't wear your mask. When you're going from location to attraction, it is at your discretion if you want to wear your mask or not. But if you're going into the shops, restaurants, restrooms, walking around, getting adult beverages, you have to wear your mask. So it's very safe. They have the social distancing markers everywhere. Plus, it is still reduced capacity. Today being the opening day, there were probably about 100 people in the park, but it was also 60 some odd degrees. So
That's cold here in Florida.
I was wearing jeans walking around, and then I kind of wish I wore shorts because the sun was getting very nice and warm, but I would have taken one for the team then.
So there are two things about Blizzard Beach that come to my mind immediately. One would be Summit Plummet, which is just humongous. And
that's the other one. Humunga Cowabunga.
Cowabunga is the other one.
Yeah.
And number two is the chairlift, which is just one of the coolest things in the world that I'm afraid to ever try. So why don't we start with Summit Plummet? Shelly, are you a Summit Plummet fan?
I did it once, and that was enough for me.
How about you, Jeremiah?
Oh, I will do that every day, all day long. I'm definitely I'm the thrill seeker, and Summit Plummet. In California, we had Raging Waters that had smaller slides, and hearing that this was one of the tallest slides or speed slides in the world when it was built, just I wanted to go more and more. And going on days where, I'm thinking of going on Tuesday when there's nobody in the park, and then I can just do it over and over again. And I will try to get some videos of it. I did have one video at one point holding on to an iPhone, sliding down it, but you can just see. So I would need a, do time lapse.
According to Wikipedia, it's just behind a water park, slide in a water park in Brazil, which is the tallest and fastest, and this would be just behind that. So what is this like to actually ride? Can you just describe the experience? Because it just looks terrifying. This is the view from up top. A picture Jeremiah took.
Tony's comment.
Right? It's really cool to make your body sound like test track.
He's not wrong.
So the best ways to describe it were approved by Disney, and Stacy used to talk about it on the in hotel channel where you'd get a water wedgie when you went down. But you get up there, you go like this, and you just go.
It's a blur.
Yeah, and make sure you cross your legs, because when you hit the bottom, if your legs aren't crossed,
no, that sounds painful.
The other thing I hear is when you start to get to the bottom, you can kind of ping pong off the sides if you're not. And so the people I know who have ridden it tell me that when I go, I should be prepared to have bruising along my hips.
Yeah, I had a bruise on my hip that was really big. I ping ponged really bad. I don't know what I did wrong. I feel like I did something wrong that would make, because I was like, boop, 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 and I'm like, that's enough for me. Like, I'm like, I did it. I Summit Plummeted, got the free with admission water park wedgie. It's time to move on.
I really want to. One of my favorite Summit Plummet stories was told by ESPN's Mike Greenberg. And he was there with his family, and I can't remember. I think it was his daughter. He talked his daughter into going on Summit Plummet. Oh no, Dad, I don't really want. This is how I recall the story. Oh no, Dad, I don't really want to. Don't worry, honey, I'll be right there with you. And so the two of them wait in line together, and then they get to the top of the line. She goes down. He chickens out, and he has to do the excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me, back down the walk of shame. And people recognize, and some of the dads in the line recognized him. So he had the double shame of not only did he bail on his daughter, but fans of his show knew it.
How terrified do you have to be that you're going to do the walk of shame when you're a celebrity.
Rather than just suffer the consequences of just jumping in.
I can tell you, it is intimidating to be up at the very top. Looking down at that,
It cracked me up. Water parks crack me up. You get bruised. You come off in pain. You know, this would not be acceptable riding Space Mountain. Yes, Jeremiah.
2 words for you: Mulholland madness.
Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say Big Bad Wolf.
That broke my phone.
It broke his phone. He had his phone in his pocket, and when it's like Ninja. It's one of those swinging. And so when we went around that corner, the it got pushed out, and the screen was facing out and hit the side of the vehicle and cracked his phone. This is awesome.
Juvie, you can no longer take a phone to any theme park.
Right, that's why it happened, because he was concerned.
I didn't want it in my pocket.
He was concerned that he would break his phone, and so he ended up dropping it.
But it didn't break. It was still pinging.
Yeah, it was. It was still pinging.
All right. So
I keep waiting for it to come back in the mail from Disney.
if I had to choose which of the 2 terrifying rides would I go on, Summit, Plummet, or this next one, I don't know which one I would choose. This looks scary, Jeremiah. I assume these are your feet.
No,
here.
those are my feet.
Those are your feet?
Those are my feet.
You rode this thing?
Many, many times. I love it.
Terrifying.
That's my feet.
All right.
I'm not going to say whose feet are beside me, but yeah, that's my feet.
I hope it's not your sister.
I'm not going to say who it is.
Okay.
It's not my sister, but I'm not going to say who it is.
Sorry.
Yeah, not my.
So this is the ski
Amy,
lift.
make sure you tell this to the family.
No.
This is one of the awesome, unique features of this place. Is it has ski lift, which is appropriate for the theme of Blizzard Beach.
And the pictures before and after are from it, just so you know. Yeah.
The picture from the ski lift.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. And they even have ADA ones, so you can ride in a wheelchair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but those look more like a gondola.
Is it a fun ride? I feel like this in itself is its own kind of a fun ride if you can hack it. Would you agree?
I think it's really fun, especially if you're somebody who hasn't been to a lot of water parks, and so you're kind of a bit unfamiliar with what it is to be at a water park, you know, because you can, like here, you could see people get on the ride and go down. You get a really nice overview of all the various types of slides, the general speeds of all the slides. It's a great way to get an overview of the park. And more than anything, it's just you don't have to go up a gazillion stairs.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice. And the way these can either have 2 or 3 people on them, and it's really cute the way it looks like a chair, and then they have it looks like skis, and you sit down, and then the little bar comes down, and you ride up to the top of the mountain, and then the way back down the mountain is any number of these slides, whether it's the body slide, you know, Summit, Plummet, whether you do the one that's the you lay on your stomach on a mat and head first. In a race against the people beside you. They have that one, and then they also have the enormously long Steamboat Springs, which is a family raft ride.
Yeah, which was the first expansion of that park.
Yeah. Can we play the video of Gideon on Steamboat Springs?
Sure.
Yeah, because it's very funny. But yeah, it's not the greatest video. By the way, as Tony points out, they're one-way trips, so it's not like a Skyliner. You either you know you go up.
Surely there's a way to walk down, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'm sure the ADA is also handled differently. It's this one right here because it's just the top of his head. You mostly just hear him talking about it. I don't know how well it'll play because of your computer today, but yeah.
Thank you, Gideon. There's 2 ways down.
Feels like we're dead. It's good, Nia. Whoa! Okay, backwards. I don't like this. I like the other seat better.
No, there you go. It's one of those where you start off and you're in the raft and you're rotating around and you don't exactly have it's not like a typical slide where you're, you know, feet first and feet stay first throughout the whole thing, or head first and head stays first all the way down. So
Right.
yeah.
So like every water park, it has a big pool area, which just features bobbin waves, basically, right?
Yes.
No big wave.
Right.
It does have one advantage over Typhoon Lagoon. You're allowed to have tubes in the water, in the wave pool there, where you cannot in Typhoon Lagoon.
Correct.
So that's kind of fun if you just want to relax to the.
Yep, float around. Oh, float around. Oh, yeah, you can show some video of that while we talk.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, totally. That other video that was there.
All right.
Because the bobbin waves, they can catch you off guard. You can be just out there and having a good time, and next thing you know, you kind of have a face full of water a few times.
And they have caverns out there too, so you can kind of there's some waterfalls and some caverns you can go.
Yeah, and those are like the caverns and everything as you're floating along their lazy river. The water that's dripping from the caverns or that comes out of the ice skater's house is ice cold water.
So cold.
I will say that's one of the drawbacks to the lazy river, to the lazy rivers in both parks, is that the water that spews at you can take away from your relaxing lazy river element, because it can be they call it refreshing, but
not to mention
I don't know that I call it refreshing.
gas spraying stuff at you.
The water guns.
You can relax
guns.
to a point, but there's always something to keep you from falling asleep on there, which would be a serious possibility.
Yeah.
According to Tony, stairs are not an option. When you go up with him, there's only one way down. That's very ominous. Never to take stairs with Tony Betty.
I think a lot of I don't know about you guys, but for me, that this next picture that Juby's about to put up is kind of what I think of, other than Summit Plummet. I think when people discuss Blizzard Beach, the first thing that pops in my mind is this attraction, the body slide. The name is escaping me in the moment, and my notes are all yeah.
Teamboat Spring, Slush and Gusher, Downhill, Double Snowstormers.
No, this might be the downhill dip, right?
Or is it the toboggan racers?
Yeah, see?
8.
I feel like this was the toboggan racers.
Yeah.
You have a list over there?
The 8-lane toboggan racer.
Okay. What did you put these on here?
Yeah, that's the toboggan racers.
Okay, cool. Okay. Thank you. Oh, Gideon's right. Toboggan racers. You guys are right.
Gideon.
Toboggan racers. Thank you.
The waterfall at Typhoon is.
How about you guys? When you guys think other than Summit Plummet, what do you guys? Typhoon Lagoon. I mean Blizzard Beach. What jumps out at you?
Mini donuts.
That's always good. The thing that always jumps out at me that I'm most upset that I never got to do is the ski patrol training camp with the nets and the icebergs that you climb across and everything, because that's for the kids area, and big kids cannot do that.
That looks so much fun. I would agree.
This is the little kid zone. This is the one he's talking about.
Yeah.
There's these and these icebergs. They're like floating platforms that are anchored, so they can travel a little bit, but not. But they're but they're floating on the surface. So I've watched kids play King of the Mountain with it, where they start with one person from each team on it, and you try and knock it off, and whichever team can get 2 people on it first, they consider themselves the winners. So I've watched the kids kind of organize that kind of play together. And then, like Jeremiah says, there's also some zip lines over there, and also like a netting where you just are trying to cross these paths with the ice, the broken up ice flow. The little kids zone, they have a couple of slides, and they even have a tube slide, which is similar in speed to Catch a Kitty. And it's one of those where one adult can be at the top, load the kid into the tube, and the other adult can be down near the bottom to retrieve the child once they have a lifeguard stationed there. That's a different one. It was this picture right here.
I have to say, the only thing that as a parent, like I have a daughter who is incredibly tall, and it was really sad to explain to her that when she was, I think, 7, she was too tall to go into that area, because she's like, I'm not old enough. And they're like, you're too tall.
That's been the nice that's the nice addition that's the nice thing with the ski zone is that it has still a place that's kind of an in-betweener. They have that with Typhoon Lagoon as well now, with the 2 slides that are there kind of right off the bay, where a little bit bigger kids. But no, you're right. That's one of the challenges. If you don't have a thrill-seeking kid who's on the taller side, the Disney water parks can be challenging to navigate in that way because of the height maximum. And we ran into that quite a bit. So just, be aware of that when you make your plans to go.
So some quick calls.
Okay.
Popcorn or churro wave pool from the 2 parks?
Oh, I'm a fan of the big one, Typhoon Lagoon.
Typhoon.
I like Typhoon.
Well, you're a surfer, of course. How about the lazy river?
Typhoon for me.
Typhoon, probably.
Blizzard Beach with the indoor parts and ice skaters house and all that fun stuff.
I agree. I put Blizzard Beach slightly ahead of Typhoon on the lazy river. Would you say, Jeremiah?
The new floaters. I know you had that picture up earlier.
We show that. So yes, for those of us who are with enhanced, it's nice to have an additional way to perhaps more comfortably sit into a tube when our width would not fit into a normal tube. So I have not had the chance to try these yet, but I do look forward to it, as does my width.
I like the noodle things that they have too. Mm-hmm. Those are my favorite because I'm not hopping in a tube. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. I'm everywhere, but the noodle, you just hop on and go.
The other nice thing with these is it's nicer for family, with a smaller one, because it's easier to have the little one with you. It's not as awkward to try and be in the tube with a little. And then we would be remiss if we didn't talk about, when it comes to both of these parks, their plethora of silly punny names. Like you have Avalanche, Crush and Gusher. What's the other ones that I was thinking of?
A lot of Water Lodge.
Yes, and then back at Typhoon Lagoon, you had a place that was called Leaning Palms.
Yeah, the Leaning Palms.
So
I remember the other one.
They lean into the pun. Yeah, they do. Sorry, they do. They lean into the pun.
Oh, what about the Icy Expedition?
Yes, which is never open.
Which is never open, but I like the name.
Misadventure Falls is cute. We talked about that. Sandy White Beat. No, that's normal.
Gideon likes the tropical Amity, instead of tropic calamity.
I get it. See, that's my problem. I don't get these things.
Yeah, and obviously Catch a Kitty Creek. That's a really fun one.
So I'm not a slide person, so I will ask these experts' opinion. All the slides taken together, a full day at the water park. Which park has the better collection of slides?
Typhoon.
Typhoon has more length for their slides. Blizzard Beach has more slides, but they're all the same type. There's 3 or 4 groupings of slides, where Typhoon Lagoon has the water coaster and Misadventure.
You agree, Rebecca?
I think Typhoon offers you a greater variety of water slide experience, whereas I feel like Blizzard Beach they're very similar in the thrill level.
And then finally, if you want to be as cold as you've ever been in your life, which theme park would you want to go to back in 2015?
Do you remember the time we were at Typhoon Lagoon and the skies opened up?
It was awesome.
It was it was one of those rainstorms where you couldn't see 15 feet in front of you. It felt like
we were there when it was pouring, but it wasn't such that they had to close the park. And of course, it was always warm. It was just pouring rain. People depart because, who wants to get wet when you're at a water park? And it was so much fun to experience it that way.
I did that a couple of years ago. I was at Disney Springs and a huge storm hit and there was lightning. So I left Disney Springs and went over to Typhoon Lagoon and they hadn't let people in the water yet. So I have some of the most amazing pictures of the park because everybody, one, ran away, and the ones that didn't couldn't get into the water yet. So I just had these beautiful wave pool pictures with the storm in the background.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, can you show some to us?
I was looking for all of my photos, and sadly, I put them all on a hard drive somewhere.
So let's see. Anything else about the Walt Disney World water? Oh, I'm sorry. I did want to mention one other thing. So obviously, Disney World water parks are the supreme. They're amazing. But if you're coming to Central Florida and you're not forced to stay at Disney, there are some other pretty awesome water parks in the area, namely Aquafina,
No,
Autotopia.
no.
What's it called?
Aquatica.
Aquatica.
Which we are huge fans of.
Huge fans of.
That is SeaWorld's water park. And I mean, I would still, in my opinion, Disney's are a little bit above it, but Aquatica is no slouch.
I really, their kid zone water slides were fantastic for Gideon. The way that they were created, I was able to keep an eye on him very easily, and he could, experience them over and over again while I relaxed. Not having to climb all over the place, which is the goal of the water park for mother. Relax while the child burns off energy. And then I love Roa's
Rapids. The not so lazy river.
Not so lazy
love
river.
Roa's Rapids.
So talk about Roa for people who haven't experienced it. What separates it from a regular lazy river, Shelley?
It moves. So there's a really strong current that runs through Roa's Rapids. It's really strongly advised that you wear a life vest. It's really funny to see the people who get in there without one because they are miserable and they usually get off at the next stop because they're crazy. But it literally, you move. It's a little bit different than the one at Volcano Bay that has the wave pool in it. But it is a strong current, that same kind of feel as a lazy river, but you just kick up your heels and you go, and you're running into people. Everybody's laughing. Like, it's so much fun.
And you have to plan when you want to exit and kind of make your way over there, because otherwise you'll just miss the turn. And a lazy river, the current is slow enough that you can generally walk, a few feet against it without exhausting yourself. Forget it at Roa.
Doesn't it pass by?
And there are signs that help you plan for getting off too. Yeah. And sometimes getting out is a group effort with people you don't know, which adds to the fun of it. Somebody's like holding out a hand, or like someone's screaming, "Help me get out!" and you like turn around and you help them get out. I don't know what it. I mean, I know what it is. It's exciting, but at the same time, you feel safe, and like I laugh the whole time I'm on it because especially around the curves. The key is when you're going around the curves to get close to the wall so that the jet's just going to shoot you through. It's so much fun.
That was going to be my comment.
Yes.
People can't exit here in Florida. They don't know how to exit. How do you expect people to get out of a lazy river without cutting everybody off?
So are the British tourists that go somehow swimming the other way?
Yeah, but it works.
I get a little confused.
On the left, so it works out fine.
And so this being a SeaWorld water park, of course, the animals are a big part of it. So I remember on the truly lazy river, you pass by a beautiful aquarium. You could just kind of hang out there. And then they have one of their slides, which kind of gently passes through the Commerce or Dawson.
Wrong. It's not a gentle slide.
And you get this beautiful, long, detailed view of them as you go through.
Not quite.
No, you get a nice blink if you miss it. Oh, what was that black and white blur that I
That's when you go like this and you just stop.
Oh, there's no stopping on that.
I've never ridden it, but I know when they were advertising this thing and marketing this thing, it was like you will slide through a slide straight through the dolphin tank, and they show you the person on it. So what's it like to actually ride it? Do you have a clue that's where you are?
No. You're just I got off and I was like, I see dolphins.
Okay. So I was a SeaWorld annual pass holder when we lived in Southern California. One of my favorite exhibits there, they had a commerce and dolphin exhibit. And because commerce and dolphins, unlike bottlenose dolphins, spend much more time underwater, the trainer would be underwater with them. So they kind of would have, sometimes they would have kind of a mermaidy type aesthetic to it. And it was really, like I say, it was one of my favorite exhibits that they had at SeaWorld was the underwater viewing and of the Commerson dolphins. So when I heard that there was going to be this attraction at Aquatica with Commerson dolphins, I was beside myself with excitement. I was like, wow, this is going to be the best. And so, got in the line, went on the ride, and blink and you miss it. And I was like, oh, seriously? And the way the sun was, it was like there was reflection. And so even if I would have been slow moving through there, I don't think I really would have seen anything. And it's like
even if the dolphin was like chilling, like right next to you as you're going through, that dolphin's like right next to you, you wouldn't know.
No, but they do have a viewing area that is right as you enter the park. There's a nice viewing area, and you can sit there and you can enjoy.
And you can watch people go through the tube, wishing they could see the dolphin.
And you can see how blurred the people are going through the tube. So yeah.
And then the last thing is the other water park, Volcano Bay, which is Universal's new highly themed water park. We've not had a chance to experience it, but anything you guys want to quickly say about Volcano Bay?
I really love Volcano Bay just because you don't have to carry your raft on any of the rides. I will be very honest about that being a huge plus for me. Their slides are crazy intense. Their lazy river is delightful. I mean, it's exactly what you would think of a lazy river, nothing too bananas, but their not so lazy river, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Like as you get up, there's like warning sign, warning sign, warning sign, warning sign. And before you get into the river, there's a team member there that says, guys, before you get in, one quick thing. This thing, it's gonna move you. So if you're uncomfortable, don't get in. What they don't tell you is that in that not so lazy river is a wave pool. So all of a sudden you're like, oh gosh, this is really fun. Like you're going and then like a big wave like comes and like engulfs you, and you're just like, what the farfignugan was that? It was a wave. And I literally, to get off of it, I had to go around twice because I'm like, oh, I'm ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And then like you're bobbing and then a wave. And you're just like, come on. I just want to get off this thing. But it's so much fun.
Oh, that sounds
fun. One thing though, they do have like Aquatica does. Aquatica has different levels of seating. So does Volcano Bay. A lot of those different kinds of seatings come into play in that you have shade or that you have, you don't have a harder time finding your seat. And they also have, of course, cabanas, but over at Volcano Bay, their shaded seating also comes with the ability to have food brought to you, which is absolutely phenomenal.
And that's
because the only thing worse than like trudging to get your food is standing wet and dripping, waiting for your food. So having your food come to you is delightful.
And Blizzard Beach has polar patios that you can rent that are cabanas, and they added in you can order food and they'll have it delivered to you recently.
Yeah, they do have reserved seating areas as well as the cabanas at the Disney water parks as well. There's just not as many different options. And there's not as much availability.
So quick recap, Shelley's Ideal Water Park, they bring you the food and she doesn't have to carry a tube. That's all that matters.
I mean, really, is there anything more that you need in life at a water park? Give me a good lazy river, give me some delightful food brought to me, and don't make me carry my tube, because it's not just me carrying my tube. I'm usually carrying my tube and my daughter's tube. And like, you're like,
and trudging
off the thing.
Yep.
Cool. I was gonna.
That was a happy lady. That's a happy lady right there.
I would rather be that. That is just me in my happy place.
I was going to close with this picture because I think, aside from our wedding day, I'm not sure. This is the happiest I've ever seen my wife, is when she's lying in the Typhoon Lagoon lazy river.
This was a trip I took all by myself. I was at Disney World alone.
Oh, those are the best.
That's how much she misses me.
Yep. I remember
so much.
I can remember this day. I made a video. It's like a minute and a half long or so of just me floating of just my feet out of you could just see my feet and the waterway. Yeah, some good times. You betcha. Nothing.
That's good for the soul right there.
You know it. No better feeling.
So I know quite a few people that have been to Walt Disney World numerous times and never visited a water park. So to those people, I would like to say, give it a shot.
Yes.
Give it a chance. You might be surprised. I am not a water park person. My idea of a nightmare is having to use a restroom at a water park with the wet concrete floor. You want to make me happy at a water park? Put carpet in the restroom.
No, gross.
No.
Quick drying carpet. But I cannot stand walking on that sandy
He needs like
water.
You know how car washes have like the blowers
Yeah.
as the cars. You need that like at the
Right,
door
right.
as you enter, so it like blows your feet as you like walk
I
in. So
hate
you have
walking on wet
dry
sand on
feet
concrete.
before you
All
get
right.
in the bathroom.
Have you tried the water shoes from Columbia? Columbia makes a whole line of their sneakers and like Mary Jane looking shoes for ladies. I'm sure if you're a man and you wanted one, you could probably find one in your size. But like there's different styles and it drains through the sole and it comes in through the sides. And it's not like a normal water shoe that has like that weird bottom thing that comes undone and starts flipping around. Landon and Columbia have the best two water shoes.
Okay, thank you very much for that advice. I might be
very passionate.
in Florida again.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Because I love going to the water park, but walking on wet sand. Oh, anyway. That said, give the water parks a chance. You might be surprised. I know I was.
Yes.
Yeah, give it a chance. Thank you guys for joining us.
Stress-free zone.
On this edition of Dig a Little Deeper. Hope you enjoyed our trip. See, this is what happens when you dig deeper in Florida. You get wet, and that's what we did today. That's what we did today. So thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you, Shelley.
And as you may have noticed, our Dig a Little Deeper is transitioning. It's not going to be weekly. We're going to be alternating it with some other programs. One of them is going to be our
Tear show.
We haven't come up with a name.
Let's call it Tear
yet.
Jerker.
Tear jerk? No.
Okay, we don't have a name yet.
But we don't have a name yet. And what we were thinking was, since we talked about water parks, one of the other ways you can enjoy getting wet at Disney are the resort pools. And so we thought that our next tiering show, we would rank and separate out the resort pools. And so that'll be what we'll feature then. Stay tuned. We're unsure what the broadcast schedule will be. As more things open up, our schedules get busier and it gets harder to be in studio, thankfully.
Yes, we're happy about this.
So yeah, but stay tuned to Laughing Place. If you enjoyed this, please like it so other people find us. Hit subscribe and you'll be notified when other programming happens here on the LP YouTube channel, such as Jeremiah tonight on LP In Depth with Ben, discussing the ever-changing Walt Disney World and Disneyland theme parks and what's going on, kind of a COVID update, as it were. So
and lots of live coming up this week. Jeremiah will be at Universal Studios, not inside the park, tomorrow, right? The 8th? Yes. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific. We have Marvel Monday talking about the finale of WandaVision, which was, anyway, and then at 4 o'clock, of course, tomorrow we have Disney Parks Live. And then Tuesday is a big day because it's the annual meeting of Walt Disney Company shareholders. And that's always a big deal. So we'll be covering that like nobody else on the internet. And I mean that literally.
Oh, yeah.
So check that out. Thank you, On The Go NMCO Shelley. Thank you, Gotta Go. Wrap this up, Jeremiah. And we will see you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.